Welcome to PTG Moto. My name's Dale Lomas. I've been lapping the Nürburgring Nordschleife since 1999. In those 26 years, I've done thousands of laps and only ever had a few painful half laps. Yep, that's me on my Phaser 600. Even 20 years ago, we were lapping the Nürburgring fairly quickly. In those days, that meant you were only checking the mirrors for the Zakspeed Viper or the Edo Porsche, and pretty much everything else was slower than a bike. Nowadays, I'm quite a bit slower and quite a bit more risk aware, but that doesn't stop me from lapping the Nürburgring on a motorcycle. So if you want to ride your motorcycle around the Nürburgring in 2024, this is my guide to help you have a fun and safe time on the best track in the world. On this video, I will cover what kind of motorcycle you need to ride the Nürburgring Nordschleife, what gear you're required to wear when you're on the track, the 3 different types of events in which you can ride a motorcycle on the Nürburgring Nordschleife this year. And finally, how you can ride the track safely, hopefully without dying or being seriously injured. On that note, why would you want to ride it in the first place? Well,
Bruce, how was your first lap of the Nürburgring?
Oh shit. The Nürburgring Nordschleife is well known around the world as the longest and toughest racetrack on Earth. And when I say racetrack, I mean permanent racetrack.
That was unreal. That was it's so funny because I've only ever played this on the computer.
Yeah.
And doing it in real life. And
while the Anlassen TT course might be nearly twice the size of the Nürburgring Nordschleife, they both contain roughly the same number of corners. Just over 200 for the Isle of Man, under 200 for the Nordschleife.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. It's just so much to kind of learn, I guess. That's the reality of it.
But on the Nordschleife, nearly everything is packed into one circuit that's 1/3 the size of the Isle of Man. In real terms, that's 4 times the size of your average MotoGP track. So the Nürburgring Nordschleife is not short, it's pretty long. Arguably, the Nürburgring Nordschleife is the most difficult track in the world to learn and to go fast. It's arguable. Isle of Man, Nürburgring. Give me your opinion below. That's a really tough one. The Nordschleife that we're talking about now, the North Loop, is the only part that still remains of the old original 1925 to 1927 circuit. So the circuit was built 1925 to 1927. It took 3,000 people about 2 years to create it. Little known fact, the very first race on the Nürburgring was in fact a motorcycle race. The very first Eifelrennen on the Nordschleife. Nowadays, there are 3 ways to ride your motorcycle on the Nürburgring. The first is during the public sessions, what we call Touristenfahrten, or TF for short. The second option is to do the Motorrad Anlassen. This is a really special German event, happens once a year, and you can ride the Nürburgring for free. But there's a catch. And your third and final option is to do one of the 2 remaining motorcycle-only training events. Both of these are 2-day courses. One of them is run by Motorrad Action Team, and the second one is run by Doc Scholl. I'm an instructor on Doc Scholl, but I'll tell you about both of them. First, let's talk about the public sessions. Public driving, Touristenfahrten, or TF as we locals call it, that's when the Nürburgring opens to all public traffic. Any road legal car, any road legal motorcycle within certain limits is allowed to drive the track under the auspices of it being a public road. Now, there are some catches to that. Over the years, the list of acceptable vehicles to drive around the Nürburgring has shortened somewhat. We'll go through that now. Firstly, buses, trucks, vans, anything over 3.5 tons isn't allowed in the public traffic. It's a safety thing. Also, trikes and quads aren't allowed because they're just not cool. No, I'm kidding. Quads and trikes aren't allowed because also in corners, the stability issue is a big thing. These are decisions made by the management. It's just a safety thing. Secondly, your bike must be capable of at least 130 kilometers per hour. This is important because the average speed of traffic has gone up a lot in recent years. It's a relatively recent addition to the rulebook, but basically it's stopping you from doing a lap on your C90, your moped, your 125. This is a thing. And finally, your road legal motorcycle must be road legal in Germany. It is no good turning up in the Nürburgring car park, unloading a motorcycle with no headlights, no mirrors, no indicators, and saying, hey, that's okay in the UK. It's not the UK. The Nürburgring, last time I checked, is in Germany, and they get to make their rules. So that's a big one as well. Some very famous names have fell the wrong side of that rule. I'm not going to go into names, Guy.
How fast are we going now?
Nearly 160. Little jump, down to fifth, turn it in, back on the gas.
If your bike is road legal, looks like a road bike, just be aware modifications in Germany are very strictly controlled. If you have got a held together GSX-R 1000 with zip ties and full Team Calamari spec bodywork, you will attract attention. If that bike doesn't have an E-Mark silencer, if that bike looks like it's fell off the back of a truck on the way to the Nürburgring, don't be surprised if they don't let you on. Your bike does need to look like it can actually finish a lap without killing yourself or somebody else. Next, you'll also need to be wearing the correct safety equipment. And when I say correct safety equipment, I just mean correct safety equipment for riding a motorcycle. It's Touristenfahrten, it's not a track day. You are allowed to ride in Cordura, you're allowed to ride in motorcycling jeans, but all of your gear should be armored. And to be honest, I'll interject my own opinion here, you should be wearing everything you've got. If you're gonna go around the Nürburgring, you wanna have your airbag vest, throw it in. Wear leathers, one piece, zip up, tight, well-fitting. Well-fitting leathers keep you alive for vital minutes in a serious accident. Please don't ask me how I know, but I know. So for these TF sessions, essentially the track becomes private land open to the public, much like a supermarket car park. And just like a supermarket car park, the police can come in, they can tell you your vehicle's on the road, and they can tell you that you've done something wrong, and they can prosecute you, even though you're on private land. That's because it's private land under the care of the public road system. In German, there's a sign that says STVO applies, and this means that the rules and regulations of the road, the laws of the land, all apply to that road while we're riding it in TF. On that note, the German police are a common sight in the car park of the Nürburgring. On a busy weekend, you might expect to see the police in and out of there every hour or so. I'm not even joking. That's because collisions and damages and arguments and crashes are all incredibly common. Now, just because you haven't seen any crashes on all the usual YouTube channels over the last few years, that doesn't mean that there's no crashes at the Nürburgring. What it means is the Nürburgring management has become better and better at controlling, coercing, and cajoling YouTubers and content creators into keeping the crashes off the internet. The reality is that public sessions on a busy weekend are full of crashes, with every lap punctuated by 1, 2, or 3 different yellow flag zones. And of course, if you are unlucky enough to be riding a motorcycle in these public sessions, it's all too easy to become a part of somebody else's problem. We're talking badly driven cars, we're talking water spills, oil spills, people spinning across the grass, leaving grass and gravel and mud on the track. You are at the mercy of people who have no idea what they're doing. If you do have a problem on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, you need to understand your chances of getting away with it are significantly lower than if you were on a normal modern race circuit. There is no runoff at the Nordschleife, the fences are very, very hard, and you are often vital minutes away from even an ambulance or, heaven forbid, a helicopter. Personally, I've lost several friends on the Nürburgring, a few on motorbikes, a couple in cars. I'm not going to go into it here, but suffice to say, I'm still riding the track today, but I am very much aware of the risks. Just because you see videos of me here on this channel going out for a rip in Touristenfahrten Don't think for a moment that this is risk-free. Don't think for a moment that I think it's risk-free. It is not. It is a high-risk thing. The rules of public driving are actually really simple. Keep right, overtake on the left, treat the track as you would an unsighted, high-speed road. That means stopping distances need to be maintained. Keep your eyes on the vanishing point. If you cannot see what's over the crest, you need to slow down. There's no point going ploughing into stationary traffic at 200 kilometers per hour and then saying, hey, I didn't expect them to be stationary. Nobody expects people to be stationary, whether it's the public road or the racetrack. And unfortunately, the Nürburgring in TF is a public road, so it's up to you to maintain the safe speed and the safe stopping distance. Yellow lights. If you see yellow lights or yellow flags on your lap, you're going to slow down, you're going to maintain a safe stopping distance to the vehicle in front. Whenever you see a yellow, it might be that there's been an accident and it's all cleared up, and you're just going to roll through a section pretty gently, keep your eyes open, and then get back on it when you see the lack of yellow flags. It might be you have to stop on the track. Certainly some of the bigger accidents that I've come across, there was no way through, I needed to stop. This is rare but very dangerous, and top tip, if you're on a motorbike, filter through to the front of the queue. Do not hang around at the back in the queue. You do not want to be at the back of the queue when some TikToker, Instagram famous wannabe racing driver discovers why we don't go that fast in TF. If you've listened to all that and you still absolutely insist on riding a motorbike in TF, which I do, then I've got some tips for you. First of all, opening times. On paper, the Nürburgring is open most weekday nights from about 5 o'clock to about 7 o'clock. Check the website with the link below in the description. You'll find the exact opening times. It's generally open most Sundays from 8 o'clock in the morning through to 7 o'clock at night. But again, check the opening times online. If I had a penny for every time I see a car parked in front of a closed Nürburgring with somebody saying, Top Gear told me it's open every day, I would have several £100. I'm not even joking. So if the rough rule is that the track is open Monday to Friday in the evenings and all day Sunday, let me just say there are exceptions to that rule every single month. You need to always check the opening times online. I'll put that in the link below, and be prepared to accept that the opening times change at very short notice. The weather at the Nürburgring is a rule unto itself. Fog can occur any time of the year, and if you get a foggy day, the track won't open. It's as simple as that, and that happens 2 or 3 times every year. Wet weather. The Nürburgring still opens in the wet until the rain gets heavy enough to create dangerous aquaplaning. If the rain is heavy enough and the wind is strong enough to make it really dangerous, it will close. Bear in mind that wet Nürburgring is kind of the default position. Last year we had so much rain it was ridiculous. Over the course of the year, you could expect wet tarmac anywhere from 30 to 50% of the time. The odds for dry tarmac are low at the Nürburgring. I can't change that. On top of the many reasons why the Nürburgring might not be open when you think it's going to be open, we're now going to add the biggest element of random chaos: the other visitors to the track. Anytime that there is an oil spill, water spill, dirt, mud, grass on a significant area of the circuit, the track will be closed for minimum 1 hour to motorcycles. I'm not joking. This means you can find the track's not open to motorcycles all day Sunday, because maybe on the race on Saturday there was an oil spill, so the track's going to open with an oil spill. They're going to say cars only until the sand is cleaned up. But in that hour, somebody else will drop oil, have a crash, do something dumb. Guess what? Another hour for motorcycles to be banned. And that goes on. And that can go on for several days. Your best chance, not a good chance, but your best chance is to arrive on a weekday night. Not in the high season, not in August. Each end of the high season, May, June is good, September is good, will be quieter than the high season of middle of July through to middle of August. But even then, an oil spill in the industry testing or an over-enthusiastic tourist on the first lap of the tourist session will spell disaster for your night. So I always plan on being there multiple nights. When I have friends coming over, I tell them be here for 2 or 3 nights minimum. we will get some laps in those evenings, weather allowing. If you insist on riding on the public sessions, you can register your account and buy tickets in advance. I would recommend that you don't do that. I'd recommend you buy one ticket, you create an account, you buy one ticket, you come to the Nürburgring. If you get that lap, you might want to add more if the going is good. Don't be the guy that arrives with 25 laps on a ticket, pre-bought, and then ends up walking around the car park on Sunday night trying to sell his 23 laps because he only did 2 the whole weekend. That, again, is more common than you would think. You can also buy tickets on the day. You can buy them in the outside car park, you can buy them at the Nürburgring GP Circuit Info Centre, and you can even buy them at the gas station because the queue for the ticket office outside the Nordschleife is crazy busy. There's also the season ticket, but I'll be really honest here, the season ticket has gone up a lot. When I first bought a season ticket, it was a couple of €100. Now we're at €3,000 for the year. It entitles you, the driver, to take a motorbike or a car on the GP circuit or the Nordschleife anytime the track's open. The GP circuit's only open about 10 to 12 times a whole year. Nordschleife is open for about 150 to 160 sessions. So you can easily get your money back if you're in a car. But trust me, even I would struggle to make sense of a €3,000 season ticket if I was only riding motorbikes here. Luckily,
I am a semi-professional race car driver, and
that means I get to do laps in cars, and for me it makes a little bit more sense for the season ticket, but roughly break-even's about 90 laps, and doing 90 laps, if you're arriving here as a casual who's coming here at the normal holiday free times, leisure time, man, you are not going to get anything out of that ticket. Just the way it is. And if you don't want to share the track with a bunch of PlayStation-inspired supercar drivers, there are other options. The option the German bikers love is Motorrad Anlassen. This is happening in April this year. It is a one-off event. You can ride the Nürburgring for free, one lap. There is a catch. Can you guess what the catch is? A free lap of the Nürburgring in April? I think I'll go, and I think I'll go with 20 to 30,000 other people. And I think there'll be 20 to 30,000 people trying to drive one lap. Yeah, 20,000 bikes. 2019, before the pandemic hit, was peak numbers. Over 20,000 people rode a lap of the Nürburgring that day. Since that big 20,000 day, we had 3 years with no Motorrad Anlassen allowed. And now we're in the post-pandemic era. It started again last year, but luckily for us, it was really wet and disgusting and rainy and foggy and like 3 degrees Celsius. So nobody came to Motorrad Anlassen relatively, still a few thousand. But last year's Motorrad Anlassen was very, very quiet because of the very, very bad weather. This year, if the weather is good, I predict way over 20,000 because since the pandemic, we've now got a glut of new motorcycle license holders and people who are interested in motorbikes. And that means I think we'll have more visitors than ever this year for Motorrad Anlassen. It's a parade lap, it's a slow lap. Generally speaking, it will take you 40 minutes to do the lap. There is a massive queue to get on the track, there is a massive queue to get off the track, and you are following a priest in an open top car who's waving incense and blessing the track that it doesn't take any more lives this year. Good work, fella. Again, all bikes have to be road legal and everybody riding a bike around the track should be wearing full safety equipment. It is a very slow lap, but you still have to be fully road legal. Oh, and by the way, the police are there just to make sure everything's running normally. Now, for the private events, bad news for my track day friends. Sorry, no tyre warmers, no slicks, all bikes have to be road legal, and no free lapping. Both the events that still run on the Nürburgring are run by motorcycle training companies, the ADAC Doc Scholl School and the Motorrad Action Team. This is really important to understand. The Nürburgring management do not want to see the old days of open pit lane track days on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. That's not what they want. So that's not going to happen. What does happen is training with instructors in front, lead follow convoy laps. The convoys get pretty fast at the top. The fastest guys I know are wow, of course, faster than me, obviously, and they're lapping I can't say the lap times they do, because if I say the lap times that they do, people will get upset with me. So let's just say they are fast enough for nearly everybody I know. And if some of my TT riding friends phoned up and said, I want to go on the Nürburgring, is this school going to be fun for me? I'd say, yes, I'll put you in so-and-so's group and you'll have a great time. So I can't say it more clearly without saying it than that. We still get down and boogie, we still have fun, it's a great time, and we always put you in the right group for your ability. The groups range in speed from very, very slow to very, very fast. The slowest guys were often doing 15, 16-minute laps. I like instructing those. I don't use any fuel and my tyres always look really good at the end of the day. If you're still lamenting the loss of racing at the Nürburgring, don't worry, me too. There's not been a proper motorcycle race at the Nürburgring now since the IDM Championship in the middle 90s. Unfortunately, I can tell you with some authority, unless the management changes, there will be no more motorcycle racing at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And in fact, probably the days to ride the Nürburgring Nordschleife are indeed limited. Whether that's a 5-year limit or a 15-year limit or a 50-year limit, I don't know. But like all good things, it's probably going to end one day. So if you are putting this off, don't put it off any longer. While I can't speak directly for the number of laps you'll do per day on the Motorrad Action Team school, I do have experience on the Doc Scholl school. I've been an instructor there for several years. Generally speaking, my groups will complete 2 to 3 laps per hour, and we run the whole day with a small break for lunch. Mostly, my groups don't do all the laps that I do. People take breaks, people do 1 or 2 laps, they're a bit burnt out, and maybe the 3rd lap has only got 1 or 2 guys behind me. Now, if that all sounds great, I do have a little bit of bad news. These courses are not for free. They're certainly not 35 euros a lap, although if you do enough laps, they almost work out to it. Motorrad Action Team starts at 740 euros for 1 day, a similar amount for the Doc Scholl school, but listen, I've got some very, very good advice for this bit. Don't do the single day school. Doesn't matter whether it's Motorrad or Doc Scholl. Do the 2 days, because the weather at the Nürburgring is dreadful. The worst floods in living memory have occurred, generally speaking, the same week as the motorcycle courses. I'm not even kidding. Every time we have a motorbike course, it's like the weather censors all those motorbikes together and decides right now, I'm gonna dump a million gajillion gallons of water on the Nürburgring. If I've learned anything in the last 26 years of being at the Nürburgring, it is do both days. One of them might get thrown away anyway for bad conditions, and then you can fall back on the other. So it's expensive, but trust me, you want the 2-day ticket, you don't want the 1-day ticket. So there are positives to all 3 of these options. You've got Touristenfahrten, Motorrad Anlassen, and you've got the training schools. Even if I sound like I hate TF, I don't. I just hate it most of the time. But luckily for me, I live here and I get those beautiful golden sunsets where, hey, I've got no work to do. It's 6:30 at night. The track doesn't close for another 45 minutes. I'm going to go for a cheeky lap. Lo and behold, there's nobody on the track. I have a great time and then I ride home. But those times are once, twice, 3, 4 times a year, maybe. The rest of the time is pretty busy. Finally, as somebody who's been living, breathing, eating, sleeping Nürburgring for 25 years, I just want to give you one final piece of advice, and that is, if you are coming here on a motorbike, do not even think about lap times. Don't look at lap times, don't think about lap times, don't try and take lap times. Lap timing the Nürburgring without a clear strategy, without a clear cause, and without somebody signing a check with your name on that says, win races, go fast, pay this man money, I can't really recommend it at all, especially if you consider that most people will be riding a motorbike here this year in Touristenfahrten. That hellish concoction that I literally have just tried very hard to downplay is probably where most people will end up riding their bikes. And I, for one, will probably do the most laps of the year in Touristenfahrten. So guilty as charged. Never mind. Moving swiftly on, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been following this channel, subscribing. We've exploded to nearly 2,500 subs in the last month. That's amazing. On my members only channel, there's already a little bit of content. That's going to be followed up with some more Nürburgring content, specifically some onboard laps with commentary from my instruction job. There will be more membership stuff over the course of summer, and there will be more Nürburgring content. So if you've enjoyed this guide, it is a rudimentary window into the Nürburgring and how to ride it, then watch out, because I will be doing the Touristenfahrten guide, and that is exactly where to buy the ticket, how much the ticket costs, how to go through the gate, and lots of detailed stuff, including some techniques for riding, including some techniques for navigating the Nordschleife safely. And that will be in its own separate video, as will a Motorrad Anlassen video, as will a Doc Scholl video. Lots to come over the course of summer. Thank you very much for enabling me to do this for you. It's been fantastic. Every time you like, every time you subscribe, every time you join the members only site, this enables me to bring you more content on these topics. Over the next couple of months, there's some really cool stuff happening. Going to Corsica, got a potential trip to Peru planned with a couple of my customers. And also we're looking at Romania. We've got the Alps trip already booked up as well. We've got the Spanish trip already booked up as well. So much content, I can barely shake a stick at just the thought of it. So thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video.